Today we are going to learn about the observer design pattern in TypeScript. If you have already gone through my JavaScript observer pattern video, it is the same theoretical concepts. So please feel free to skip to the TypeScript code implementation section. Otherwise, let's move on to the theoretical aspects of the observer pattern next. So I'm going to walk you through what observer pattern is, how it works, what is the push and pull method of observer pattern, and where you can apply each method and pros and cons of each method. So observer pattern is a behavioral pattern. The best way to understand observer pattern is to think of a streaming service. When you want services, you subscribe yourself to the streaming service, and then you get all these latest movies and TV series from the streaming service, and then once you decide you no longer need the service, you unsubscribe from that service. The same thing happens in the observer pattern. You will be like, the observer will be like you, and the streaming service will be like the subject. So observer will subscribe to the subject, and subject will continuously send notifications to the observers, and when observer decides I no longer need the subject service, I will unsubscribe, and then subject will no longer send notifications to the observer. So in this observer pattern, there are two approaches called push and pull. In the push method, subject actively pushes notifications, pushes its updated states to the observers, whereas in the pull method, observers actively pulls updated states from the subject. And this push method is more suitable when subject is aware of the requirements of the observers, what type of data it observers need, and what type format the observers need them. And the pull method is more suitable when observers better know the subject's data and when they want that data from the subject. In the push method, it could be a little noisy and consume a lot of network, because subject will continuously push all its updated states to all the observers. Whereas in the pull method, observers will only pull only a subset of subject's attributes, and the rest of the network can be used for something useful. And then in the push method, subject needs to maintain the list of observers on its side, whereas in the pull method, subject does not need to maintain that list of observers. So in order to make sure that only the allowed observers are pulling data from the subject, we need to have some sanity check. Let's see how we can implement this in code walkthrough. So first of all, we need to have a subject created. There will be two attributes, observers list of observer type, and I'm going to define an observer class here. Then a data attribute of type string. So in the constructor, I'm going to initialize the observers list to an empty list and the data attribute to a string value of 1. Next, I'm going to implement the import method of subscribe here, which will take in an observer object and pushes that to the observers list. Next, the unsubscribe method, which will take in an observer object and remove that from the observers list. Then I'm going to implement the notify method, which will take in a data attribute and use that to notify all the observers. Now in the observer class, I'm defining this update method, which will take in a data attribute and just console log that value. So in the setter method, we will need to set the updated value to the subject's data attribute and need to call the notify method to notify all the observers about the updated value. Now we are going to test this with one subject object and two observer objects. And now we are going to subscribe these observers to the subject. And now we will update the subject's data attribute. I will need to install Typescript in my machine, which will compile this and make a JavaScript file for me, which I can run later. So I see the two values printed here. Now I'm going to unsubscribe observer 2, and we should see 3 printed only once. Now I'm going to unsubscribe observer 1 as well, and I should not see any 4 value printed here. Now we are going to implement the pull method. So I don't need this observers list, subscribe, unsubscribe, notify methods, but I will need a get data method so the observers can use this to get the updated data value from the subject. So I'm going to define 2 observer classes just to do that sanity check. Only if it is of observer 1, we will be outputting the correct value. So I don't need any of these. And I'm going to call this update method, and I'm going to do some changes to this update method. I will be passing a subject parameter here, so I can set its call attribute to one of the observer types, so that way we can do that sanity check. So I'm going to test this now. I'm going to call update on both the observers, and now let's implement that sanity check. If it is of observer 1 only, we will be giving the correct output, otherwise we are returning an error message. So we can use some inheritance here to remove duplicate code. That is it. I will see you in another video. Thank you.